My name is Andy Harris, and I am the author of a good number of books. I've also written many, many games, and now I'm starting to do online videos to teach people how to do fun things like, well, build their own 3D video games. This is pretty fun stuff, and you can see right here I have one of the games we'll be featuring in the book. It actually doesn't use every feature that we have in the book, but it's a complete game that was actually entered in a gaming contest and did pretty well. So we'll be learning all kinds of interesting things about how to build your own games from scratch, even if you have no modeling or programming experience. And so in order to explain what the course is about, why don't I just show you some of the things that you're going to build? And there will be a lot of them. Don't you worry. Okay, I'm going to quit the game, and I'm going to show you some of the great stuff we're going to make. It's right here. Of course, every single example that I do in class, I'm going to give you. You can download it, you can mess with it, you can change it. The first thing we're going to learn how to do is how to build your own models. Lots of gaming engines require you to get models from someplace else, which is great, but what if you want something that nobody else has thought of? Well, I'll teach you how to build a few basic models and how to build these models in ways that they can be easily modified. So there's three basic models. If you know how to build a car, I can show you how to make that into anything else. I'll show you also how to build a basic four-legged animal, and when you can build this, you can turn it into a cow or a giraffe really, really easily. I'll show you how to make a basic humanoid figure pretty easily so that we can manipulate this in lots of ways. Later on, we'll animate it, make it walk and smile. Cool stuff, right? Well, after you learn how to build your basic models, how to get around in the environment, then we start talking about how do we make things look better. So eventually we'll get to the point where we can build a more realistic looking model. So this, I just actually pulled a toy out of my kid's toy box and show you how to take anything you can take pictures of, like this, into a semi-realistic 3D model. And so that's looking pretty good. In fact, we'll use that in some of our other games later on. And we can do this with anything. Pretty cool, right? Oh yeah, that's just my camera. All right, let's look at some other great things. We'll want to be able to build a more realistic, interesting looking world. So I'll show you ways to very quickly build a world without videos or images, and also how you can use images to create some sort of a world that you can walk around in. I'll turn on gravity and you can see I've got grass, I've got water, there's a cute little waterfall, there's an island. Oh, this is fun. I've got a sky. So you'll learn how to build all those things and really have fun creating your own environments. Anything you can imagine, you can build. When you know some basic skills. So we'll talk about how all that works, how textures work, and how to design things. Of course, we also want to be able to move stuff around. So the first kind of motion we'll learn about is just simple animation. So we'll learn how you can build an animation. For example, let's take a look at that car. I'm going to do a top-down view right now. And that car that we built before, now I'm going to animate it driving around the track and skidding and so on. Oh, that's cool. But of course, this is a 3D environment. We'll turn the sky back on. We can also see what it's like to be inside the car and driving around. Now this is just animation. I just recorded an animation. Later, of course, we'll want to learn how to do control so we can actually drive the car with our joystick or our mouse or keyboard or whatever. But of course, we need to learn how animation works first so that we can make some really cool things happen. We'll learn even how to do stuff like take a model and make it able to work like a puppet so we can move the eyes and the mouth and so on and have some fun with that. Of course, then we'll later control that through our game. So we're going to learn some really, really cool things. We'll learn how to attach a skeleton to a character and run animations of that skeleton so it can do neat things like wave and run. Here, we'll make it run. Cool, right? Yeah, very cool. So we'll learn how to do all of these things. So you have some nice animations, of course, throwing, dying, standing up, sitting down, whatever other things you want to be able to make it do. We'll learn how to do those things. Oh, that's very cool. Oh, I'm telling you, this is fun. So the next thing that we'll do is we'll start talking about how then do we turn this into a real game? How do we get input from the user to be able to do interesting things? So we'll start with something really simple like, here's a very simple car. How do I make it so that I can drive it with the arrow keys? So when I'm pressing the up arrow, it goes forward, down arrow goes back. This isn't a perfect driving model, but it's very easy to build. So that's pretty cool. We'll learn how to do that right away. Of course, we'll go beyond that. We'll even make something fun, like here's one that we'll do. There's an aircraft. I can see it from behind, and I'm actually controlling this now with a joystick. So I press a button and it moves forward. I can roll it, barrel roll, woo! I can do loops. I can drive around. I can crash into things. Oh, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, so we'll be able to do all kinds of fun stuff. We'll be able to use mouse input, joystick input, standard first-person shooter controls. We'll learn how to do all of those things. That's pretty fun. What else will we do? Well, of course, things need to crash into each other. That's what makes things really fun. So we'll talk about the physics engine built into Blender and learn how you can incorporate that to have things crash into each other in a fun and realistic way. So, there I have the car crashing into the boxes. That's pretty fun. Of course, what fun is a game without bullets, right? We'll learn how to shoot things. So here's a good example of that where I can shoot at this wall and stuff breaks and crashes and spins and whoa, how fun is that? Of course, add some first-person shooter controls. We got ourselves a game right there. Yeah, that's pretty fun stuff. Oh, it is. I tell you, everything that I built for this, I had fun. Every time I built an example, I was like, woohoo, this is fun, this is fun. We'll learn how we can control a model when you press a button, it'll wave and so on. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. So then Unit 7 is how do we deal with data inside our games? And there's lots of interesting things we can do with that. Here's a great example of something we can do with data. So there's your classic I'm locked in a room game. And I'm the little red box. I can't open the door, but if I turn around, I'm controlling this with the mouse, by the way. I pick up this little blue thing. Now I try to go out the door, and it will open. So we learn things about properties and how to control animations and how to tell if I've picked something up and how to manage inventory and all those kinds of things that we may want to have to make a compelling, interesting game. Good stuff. Good stuff, all of it. There's much, much more we'll do there. We'll learn how to build a HUD so you can tell how many times you've shot a bullet. We'll build all kinds of cool stuff. All right, so the next unit is how we use the Python programming language to do some really phenomenally powerful things. Now, if you've never programmed before, don't worry, because Python is a relatively easy language, and for the most part, I will be giving you scripts that you can modify. So you don't have to be able to code from scratch. You should be able to do quite a bit with the things I'm giving you. I'll give you a really basic version of it. Let's see. Oh, this one is cool. So this is a very, very simplistic car model, but what it's doing is I'm using some Python code to control it in a really cool way. So let's back it up so we can see it again. Come on, get back here. Oh, brakes. Oh dear, yes. And you can see that I can turn the wheels and they turn realistic, and I have skidding, and I can control all kinds of cool things about this car. Of course, we can make it go over ramps and crash into stuff and so on. So that's pretty darn fun, isn't it? You see how it even has a suspension? Yeah, we'll learn how to do that. You need Python for that, but it's not super hard, and I'll show you totally how to do that. While we're at it, I'll show you how to do first-person shooter controls. I'll show you how to do all kinds of other stuff. And then the last unit is one of my favorites, where what we do is we say, okay, now that you've learned all of these skills, how do we put them together to actually design and implement a game? So we will certainly talk about game design, but really I'm not concerned about game design until I know that you can implement that game. And so we'll be able to think up ideas. At this point, we'll have the knowledge, the skills, to be able to implement any ideas that you want to put together. So pretty much any kind of a 3D game that you want to build, you should be able to create. And so we'll talk about how do you do a game design document, then how do you implement that. I'll walk through every detail of that shooter game I showed you at the beginning, and maybe I'll have some other surprises for you too as we go. Maybe I'll build some other games that you can take a look at and tweak and manipulate on your own and make them your own. This sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, yes. What do you need for this class? A copy of Blender. Works on pretty much any computer. Get a relatively recent version. You'll want a good mouse. And Blender, you don't have to buy anything else. And you can make some really, really fun games. Well, I can't wait to hear from you. I can't wait to start doing this course with you. And let's have some fun, right? All right, I'll see you soon. Take care.